The Nintendo Switch officially launched 5 years, 5 months and 5 days ago. 2 weeks ago, I talked about everything the system had done wrong, but I don't want to be known as the guy whose opinions are biased, so I set an alarm to remind me to talk about everything the system had done right. Unfortunately, it seems like that alarm has gone off in the middle of the night, so let's just get this over with quickly so I can go back to sleep.
The Nintendo Switch has been a massive success across the world, selling roughly 110 million units in around 5.5 years. That's nothing short of astounding, but we only achieved 100 million units in its entire lifetime, and seeing how I'm feeling a lot less bitter today, we can officially hand this title back to the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo had been genuinely struggling throughout the last 5 years, thanks to a little something known as... They were practically kept alive thanks to the sales of the 3DS, which weren't exactly excellent either when you compare them to Nintendo's previous handhelds. I mean, look at the DS, that thing goes toe to toe with the PlayStation 2 for the best selling console of all time. If the Switch had failed as hard as the Wii U did, that could have meant the end of Nintendo as a hardware developer altogether. And in my opinion, most of this renewed success came from the advertising of the Nintendo Switch. Go onto YouTube, type in Wii U advertisement and tape your eyes open because that is genuinely the only way you could possibly sit through them. Most of them boil down to kids introducing their parents to the absolutely terrifying world of the Wii U. Imagine trying to have a family movie night and your kid transforms the living room into 3D world. I would be pissing myself. The Switch focused on all kinds of age groups, but with much more grounded advertising. Don't get me wrong, there are still ads aimed towards kids, but they don't have extreme CGI effects in them like the Wii U ones did. It's always just, you can play on the TV, and in handheld mode, buy a new Switch. Everything feels a lot more grounded, and because of that, the Switch seems even more relatable to the consumer. This doesn't feel like a theme park ride anymore, it feels like an actual console. And you can't miss the main gimmick of a Nintendo Switch, the portability. The Wii U's gimmick was having asymmetrical gaming through the Wii U gamepads, and don't get me wrong, that's a pretty good idea. Nintendo Land is a pretty good display of asymmetrical multiplayer, but most other games just don't have a use for it. And if they do, it's just not that good. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze literally switches off the gamepad during gameplay. It wants absolutely nothing to do with this system. The Switch's gimmick works with just about every game because it makes them all portable and accessible at any time. Developers don't need to do anything to support this, except downgrade their games to all hell to fit onto a Switch cartridge. But I'm not here to be critical of the Switch. If I wanted to do that, I should have done it 3 weeks ago. The very idea of having games like Mario Kart 8, Super Mario 3D World, Skyrim, Doom, Xenoblade and more playable on the go is more than enough to sell your system. If the graphics take a small hit on some multi-platform AAA releases, who cares? As long as the visuals are passable, then I'm willing to look past things like 720p or 30fps if it's available to me on the go. But I hear you cry out, Dylan, last time we talked about the Switch, you did nothing but bitch and moan about the hardware quality. Why doesn't it matter anymore? My main issues with performance in that video weren't sacrifices made to get a game running on Switch, it was more to do with massive frame drops. If a PS4 game can run at least a solid 30fps on Switch, then that's good enough for me. Although I prefer 60fps, if a game I'm buying really needs a higher frame rate or 4K resolution, I can always just pick it up on PlayStation instead. But what I can't pick up on PlayStation are true first-party Nintendo releases, and my god, Nintendo knocked it out of the park with the Switch. Super Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, Mario & Rabbids Kingdom Battles, Splatoon 2, these are all just from the first year of release. Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild in particular completely reinvented their respective series, creating some jaw-dropping experiences that you can only get on Switch. And that's not even scratching the surface of good games released of the system. Xenoblade 2, Link's Awakening, Super Mario Maker 2, Luigi's Mansion 3, these are all such quality titles that were released on Nintendo Switch. And that's not even mentioning the number of Wii U ports this thing has received. Games like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Pikmin 3 Deluxe and Super Mario 3D World were all quality games simply trapped on the Wii U, but the Switch gave them a new lease of life in a completely new install base. 3D World received a whole new side story called Bowser's Fury that combines both the linear and open 3D Mario styles. It's amazing, and I hope we get a full game like it at some point.
Wow, that's a lot less than I was expecting. I really do love this console, it is truly one of my favourites of all time. I have so many good memories of exploring Breath of the Wild for the first time, running through Kingdoms of Mario Odyssey, or reliving Mario Kart 8, all in the first year of the system's life. Despite Nintendo getting comfortable again, I really do think this could be one of their best consoles of all time if they just try a little bit harder with their content again. My other complaints like the hardware and controllers are just part and parcel of being 5 years old. I mean, look at me at 5 years old, I probably ran like piss compared to me at age 1. The Switch is aging gracefully, and I can't wait to see what's next with a plucky little console that could. So, to round things off, let's take a look at some quickfire positives from the Switch era.
Incorporating motion controls back into the Joy-Cons was such a good idea. I love having options for motion in video games, so the fact that Nintendo isn't done with it makes me hopeful for the future of motion. Nintendo's done more collaboration with third-party developers than I can remember for a long time. Mario plus Rabbids and Cadence of Hyrule are such unexpected genre twists for Mario and Zelda, and both games are great quality. Quite a few dormant IPs and series have been brought back onto the Switch. Metroid Prime last got a mainline entry in 2007 on the Wii, and Metroid Prime 4 is maybe coming out on Switch. Mario Strikers, WarioWare, Brain Age, hell even 2D Metroid made a return on the Switch through the long-fought cancelled DS game Metroid Dread. The Switch truly is a celebration of all Nintendo IPs, far and wide. But there's no Kid Icarus, so really what's the point of it all?
Well, that's everything. I've now talked about the Switch's strengths and the Switch's flaws. Now I just have to never talk about this console again to remain this way. I hate cloud games. Shit, that one slipped out.